What's up, you filthy casuals? Welcome to the Casual Shenanigans Gaming Podcast, a podcast all about everything PC gaming related. I'm one of your hosts, JERMgaming, and tonight I am joined by Dave, the not-so-evil Viking 13, coming to you from a well-lit room this week.
I'm also a console owner this week. It's a weird week.
A well-lit peasant. We are also joined by James and his smart glasses. And
what's up, students of life?
What are you a teacher of?
Life.
Oh. All right. I asked a stupid question. I'm sorry.
Give life. What does he not teach us?
No, he teaches life, not gives life. As usual, Joel goes with the sexual one.
I cannot work that magic on you, Joel.
Doesn't mean he won't try, though.
And we're also joined by Joel, who may not be medically able to give life anymore. How's it going, Joel? Welcome to the Testes Watch with Joel. Joel, how's it going this week?
Oh, you asshole.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was I the one who devoted a whole section of the podcast to talking about your genitalia?
Glad to be here, folks. I'm glad I'm alive.
Well, we promised everyone it wasn't dick cancer.
Can we talk about Joel's haircut? Can we talk about his haircut really fast?
I think we should provide any context for everything we just said. What if a new listener just started? This is their first and last 5 minutes of the podcast here.
Dick cancer is funny.
I have to talk about the dick cancer for just 1 second because it relates to Bloodborne. Okay.
I'm just going to try to get as far into the King's English here as I can. Go ahead.
That is the most Joel phrase I've ever heard. No, I have to talk about the dick cancer.
I called like getting an ultrasound done, and I told the lady, and I had to lie too, and I was like, so there's a couple of dates I can't make it for it, which is like, we're doing a beach trip with friends and stuff like that, and then Tuesday I got like a conference call for a commercial I'm shooting. I couldn't say I want to play Bloodborne. Like, I'll take dick cancer and if I can at least play Bloodborne.
Joel, the cancer's growing.
I know, but I'm enjoying this so much.
Bloodborne's metastasized.
Oh, okay. That was a good start.
Tell him about your haircut. What was your inspiration?
Dean Winchester.
Yeah, I saw the picture.
You got the Dean Winchester haircut.
It's not a bad haircut, though.
The haircut, I mean, I'm not going to to wear it up. But
only
I
we
didn't have
could
the
see
haircut
it.
people
Wear it
say,
up.
like,
It's like a half-inch long.
Well, I know, but I'm like, I don't ever have like hair. I just never done that.
Okay.
I'm not huge on that.
The early 2000s hair up flip.
No, the praise and worship leader, like
Right,
tight jeans. Yeah, always
the early 2000s hairdo up flip.
But I was like, I actually had a photo on my phone. I was like, I want this. They're like, all right. I was not ashamed at all.
There's nothing wrong with that. I when I first got an actual haircut in like 2012, I brought in a picture of Ryan Gosling because he had a good hair. The man dresses well. I was like, hey, you make me look like that? They couldn't. My head's a weird shape.
Did you have a cardboard stand up of Ryan Gosling in your house?
I did bring that. I just brought like it was just on my phone.
That's what
Joel's like, hold on. Do you do requests? I got something in the car. It's gonna take
Did you bring him in? He's like, I want to look like this.
And you got him sit next to you in the mirror, a little off the sides.
James said one of the funniest things. He's like, you should just go back in and be like, actually, I'm just kidding. Can I get Sam's haircut? And like, it's already short. Like, well, we're not gonna grow it out.
So anyway, this is a podcast all about everything PC gaming related,
And I think about the host, apparently.
and we begin the podcast as we always do with the news. Now, this first bit of news.
News time.
Thank you, Joel.
Go.
We also begin the podcast with time codes.
I was just about to do it. I was just
Sing
about that.
Sing it.
There, done.
So, Steam for Linux, which, a lot of people have been discounting Linux as a viable gaming platform for years, largely because there aren't any games for it, which is a pretty decent reason. But as of now, Steam for Linux has 1,000 games.
Wait, 1,000?
1,000 of the games on Steam are Linux compatible. And so you're
Wow.
like, yeah, but Steam has thousands.
Spider
and thousands
Solitaire, Free Cell.
Well, there
just
are
kidding.
4,800 Windows compatible games on Steam, so it's a little over a fifth, which is pretty good for an operating system that has an install base of about 1%. Like that's actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
Did
and
all
a
those
lot
developers convert it? Like, did they just? I mean, did like
that's the thing,
Valve try to promote and like, hey, convert it to make it work on Linux? Like, did they? Do you think they paid them at all?
Well,
Or just said we
Steam,
urge you to do it?
I'm sure they didn't pay them, but SteamOS is Linux based, so I'm sure converting your game to run on Linux is the first step to getting on SteamOS, and Valve, of course, would be pushing that. So I'm assuming that's where it came from. And a lot of them are probably indie games. Like a lot of them aren't AAA games, but there's still plenty of AAA games on there.
But I guess it's probably an easy way to get good sales because let's say if you get it and there's not that many games, your game is kind of a highlight.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And another way to think about it is, okay, so it's not that many games, and the client came out in February of 2013. It's a lot more games than either of the current gen consoles have. I mean, and a lot of them, like a majority of their titles that are really gaining traction are indie games too, because all the AAA games are being delayed forever. So, I mean, it's not insubstantial when you think about it that way. And a lot of those games, of course, released well before these current gen consoles. But like that is a sizable install base now. Now, whether there are enough games that you want to play that you want to switch is up to you. But it's still pretty cool. I don't know. What do you guys think? Does it matter?
That is weird to think that Linux is at that point. That's kind of crazy.
I mean, it makes sense that like it had to happen with something sometime. Like something has to come along and challenge Windows at some point, you would think.
Oh yeah.
So for gaming, SteamOS very well could be that. SteamOS or Linux.
I could easily see if they launch a game on it and it's like one of those things where you run it on Linux, the game's like 50% better. I mean, like faster, you know what I mean? Everything, like it just utilizes everything better. And you'd be like, crap, I can't play it very well on my Windows 8. I might try that. And if it works really well, you know what I mean? That could be huge. But I think if the Steam machines just don't do well and it doesn't run that much better, might be hard to get people to convince them to go over.
I think people that are already on Windows are probably not going to switch unless they really want to get away from Microsoft for some reason.
Yeah.
I
well,
mean,
if there's a performance benefit, you could dual boot.
Yeah. But
I mean,
I've messed around with Linux enough to where like I put it on a hard drive for like 6 months and like, I don't need it. And then I'd get urged to try it again and then quit.
Well, once you're used to your operating system, you're not like, oh man, this is incredible every time you boot it up. The operating system is just standing between you and what you actually want to do on the computer. So, like, as long as Windows is doing everything you want, or as long as Linux does everything you want, why would you think about it again, you know? Unless there was some big reason to move to something else. But
people have people have emotional reasons for switching or not switching. I mean, like, I hate Microsoft. They're da-da-da-da-da. I don't want to use their products ever again.
Right. Well, that's the thing. That's the same people, I think, who, are mad and don't want to buy the next Battlefield game because the last one sucked and then they buy it, or the people who don't want to buy the next Call of Duty game and buy it. A lot of people
of was it Modern Warfare 2 where it's like the Steam group, like no one buy Modern Warfare 2,
boycott
like,
Modern Warfare 2,
but boycott it, and then like in the Steam group everyone's playing it on launch day, like you could see it in the group.
But
I love that image.
I mean, yeah, I said there's a lot of people angry at Microsoft, but their install base is still massive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because what's your alternative? Linux honestly doesn't support a lot of the things a lot of people want, and Macs are really expensive. So you stick with Windows because, hey, you picked it for a reason. It was cheap and it did everything you needed it to do.
Yeah. Also, it's like, I mean, even if it was that good, if you go, you know what, I got everything set up like how I want it. Do I really want to like spend the time to get it all installed, get all the programs running? Are all the programs going to work on it correctly? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that, But if it was like one of those like, backup like Windows on a hard drive, pop it over on Linux, it just copies over and it's like, oh, you're up and running.
Yeah, that's way too user friendly.
Yeah.
Have any of you guys legitimately used Linux for any period of time?
Not for any extended period of
long
time. I've only ever played with Linux because I've never needed it.
Right.
So I've never used it for anything like super intensive.
You can find a nice interface, but it's a pain in the butt when it comes to installing certain things. Mm-hmm. I mean, just because you get so used to doing the Joel one-click to install thing.
Yeah.
Having to go into a terminal and type stuff in. It's like, I don't want to have to look all this stuff up.
There are some distros that are relatively easy. I know it's a good thing to install like on old laptops. My little sister has Linux on a laptop just because it was like a ThinkPad from the early or mid 2000s, and it still runs fine because Linux is so lightweight. It doesn't do jack, like it does basic word processing and internet surfing, and that's it. But it's totally fine for that. But yeah, it's still like that's the thing. You get into anything too nerdy, you go on and they're like, all right, here's how you install Linux. It's super easy, guys. Here's the 35-step process, and you got to download all these files from it. And you're like, nope, I'm
Make
out.
sure you go to the repository and you can get all. It's like,
And you know what actually a surprisingly difficult process, Joel? And this is not a
Yeah.
picking on Mac thing. If you want to put a new hard drive in your Mac and install Mac software onto it, and you don't have a second Mac handy, that is hell. That is because they're like, just download it through the Mac App Store. It's like, right, but what if you didn't have the Mac App Store because the hard drive died?
Oh yeah.
And they're like, you'll need a
Very
second
true.
Mac.
Very true.
Good. So I'll just go buy a second Mac to fix my first. Like, it's
Just borrow
like,
a Mac.
You can just bring it into an Apple Store. Great. These are all things that will cost hundreds of dollars.
Well, it's funny because because I have the MacBook Air. I mean, there's no CD drive. I mean, I do have the little external one, but I'm like, let's say if it gets completely fried or like the OS is just I can't boot into safe mode or anything. I'm like, I have no idea what to do. You'd have
Joel,
to.
your signal
luckily, I've
right now
never
is
had one of those.
awful.
It is.
Your signal's awful, dude. Are you downloading or something? Okay.
I mean,
Joel's calling from the moon. That's why it's so dark.
Joy is watching Netflix, so it could be that.
yeah, it's
We
hard to
updated
just go
to the
ahead and-
1080p Apple TV, so it's a little bit more than 720p now.
It's killing it. But you have really fast internet though, and that shouldn't
Yeah.
be affecting your upload.
It has
except
been.
you have
It has been chugging
Comcast.
all day long.
You have
Uploading
Comcast.
tons of stuff. I don't know.
Is it still uploading?
No, I mean everything's it's stopped. I have everything stopped.
Maybe you need to adjust your quality of service settings in your router. Have you set anything up? I can help you do that sometime. It's just something that it shapes
Joel's
it like
mind just went blank.
it shapes it so like, hey, if someone makes a Skype call, prioritize the Skype call traffic over everything. Like it'll throttle different stuff down depending on what you're doing. It's just dynamic load
I
management.
have no idea. So next time you're in town,
Joel's net neutrality.
Well, I mean, you can ask Dave, your other friend who does that stuff.
I
now I
live
can.
near
Yeah, I
you.
guess. Well, now I can ask him. So. I wouldn't have known to even
now
ask
he
him.
can't.
Okay, so moving on to our next bit of news. Windows 10 is coming out this summer. We don't know exactly when, but that's not the real part of the news. We knew it was coming at some point. Second little bit of the news, this is a three-parter. So we did the first part. Second part, pirated copies of Windows will still update to Windows 10, which pirates across the internet are celebrating, and it's also a pretty genius move on Microsoft's part. Like here, let's just go ahead and move you over to a legitimate version of the software that's really hard to pirate. Like Windows 8 was much harder to pirate than Windows 7 and Windows Vista and XP were. XP, you
Really?
basically just download it, pop it on a disk, and everything's great.
8 was
Windows
harder to pirate?
Oh yeah, Windows 8 is very hard to pirate.
Joel, we can barely even hear you anymore.
You're like, where are we at? Who?
Coming from the International Space Station.
Basically.
But it's okay, Joel. It's all right. If there's nothing you can do about it, we understand. Just double
Hoping
check
it comes
maybe.
back.
Double check Black Blaze or Crash Plan or whatever.
I closed both of them.
Okay. But yeah, so it's going to work on pirated versions, which is smart because they're getting people moved over to a legitimate version of the operating system to lock them in forever. And this is what I think is the actual cool part for listeners of this podcast. Windows 10 updates will be delivered over peer-to-peer. So when you go into your update panel, you can choose to get updates from the internet or PCs on your local network and other PCs on the internet. So Microsoft update servers have always been pretty fast. But I think this is the first time they're pushing an entire operating system update.
Yeah, that's pretty
through
sweet.
The internet. So they're obviously trying to bump up their internet infrastructure. But I think this is pretty cool, especially like for IT, IT administrators for large networks. That's going to really streamline stuff because typically you have like a Windows update server in an office where it downloads the updates and then administers them to all the PCs on the network. So that you don't have everyone trying to download all at the same time. And that's what you do with any major update. Like when a new version of iOS comes out, you ought to read like the crazy things IT admins have to do to get iOS like authentication and download servers set up on their local network so all the Apple users don't crash everything. But it's the same thing with Windows updates. And so this is really awesome if the load can dynamically balance out between different PCs on the network.
Yeah, but the downside is most places usually are in disk images still.
They are, but maybe this will... This
Get away
could,
from-
yeah,
get
this
away
is
from
like a
that.
good first step. This is basically just
yeah.
hey, Microsoft, that's an awfully like 21st century thing to do. Peer-to-peer, that new technology.
And I actually had a follow-up to the genuine copy part of the story. Microsoft actually released a statement today.
Dave's going to own his first genuine copy. Yay!
Screw you! I have a .edu email address. All mine are genuine educational copies.
you were a student.
How are those classes going?
I'm going to graduate one day, man. I just believe in myself and my free software. This is like the most corporate backpedaling statement I've ever seen. This thing is just 2 paragraphs of corporate speak that just says nothing.
Well, it's Microsoft, okay, so just give them a little bit of space.
The consumer free upgrade offer for Windows 10 applies to qualified new and existing devices, blah, blah, blah. A lot of talking about all their new things coming out. We want you to have the best experience. With Windows 10, although non-genuine PCs may be able to upgrade to Windows 10, the upgrade will not change the genuine state of the license. Non-genuine Windows is not published by Microsoft. It's not properly licensed, no kidding, or supported by Microsoft or a trusted partner. Blah, blah, blah. So basically they're just like, yeah, you can upgrade, and there's no support, which seems kind of self-explanatory, but it doesn't really explain their position. This is Ars Technica I'm getting this from, and they asked for more clarification, like, will there be a limitation for how long you can use your computer? Like, will it lock you out every 10 hours? Or can you just not get updates? You just not able to call in? Like, there's no real explanation of what this actually means. Like, no one still really knows for sure.
Mm-hmm. I think,
corporate speak.
The thing on Windows 7, when you had, like, I had one computer that got falsely identified as ungenuine software, non-genuine software. And all it did was just black the screen and then fuss at me like 3 or 4 times a day for a month until I could get it figured out. So if it just does that, most pirates will probably just keep using it. But it's a step. It's a step in the right direction. And I guess they're hoping people will like Windows 10 enough that it'll be worth a cheap upgrade. I mean, think about it this way. If, say, they offer it, maybe they offer a deal to the pirates, like any non-genuine copies. Hey, for $20, you can upgrade to genuine Windows. Like, that's pretty, that's pretty reasonable. They'd probably pick up a bunch of people. You don't know what they got going on under the hood there, but
one of their big markets is China, and I guess they're looking to maybe make a little money off them. Hopefully.
This was announced in China, so you're not wrong.
Mm-hmm. All right. This next bit of news, I couldn't decide if this should go in the Singularity Shame segment, which we technically don't have tonight. Or if it could be its own news item. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and make it its own news item. You guys tell me what you think about it. Okay. So Battle Royale is a game mode in H1Z1.
Right.
As well as a mod in many other multiplayer games.
And because of the hackers, it's currently the most popular form of H1Z1 by like 80%. Like
it's it's the Altus life of H1Z1 right now.
Yeah, it's everything.
So they're going to be offering a 30-day monthly pass for the main Battle Royale servers that costs $7 and gets you 30 days of unlimited Battle Royale access. And they are going to have a reward payout chart. So not only does that get you access to what has up till now been a free game mode, to the best of my understanding.
You have to earn tickets by playing the normal mode to get into it, or pay the extra first.
Or
tickets,
pay.
Yeah.
And they're going to be giving you drops and all kinds of stuff, and they're very positive about it. Like, hey, and then we'll be adding new content, and new special things, and blah 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 blah. This feels a little bit like H1Z1 Premium, which seems a little excessive for a game that's in early access, but.
And supposed to be free.
Yeah, it was supposed to be free and probably will never be free. Drive Club was supposed to be free.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Like, I'm just not sure what to think about this. And I feel like I don't know enough, but like I don't hear anything here that makes it sound like this is good.
I'm glad that I don't care about Battle Royale.
I mean, I don't play Battle Royale personally either, but more about the general issue. Do you think it's a problem? Or do you think it's scummy?
It's kind of scummy. I mean, they already had 2 different releases that got you some perks, but whatever.
It just feels like for them saying they were going to avoid pay to win, they kind of veered into that territory, and now they're going like pay to play on the game you already paid for, which was supposed to be free to play from the beginning. It just feels like they're way too over the line there. On stupidity.
Now, I don't think they said if this will carry over to the game's actual launch. Do you guys think this is just a temporary thing, or once they see the money, they're going to go, wow, a lot of people are going to pay for this. The game is going to be free, but Battle Royale is going to be the paid part. Like, you think that's going to happen maybe?
It's not going to be the only paid part. That's my prediction.
It would be cool.
Okay.
It would be cool if it became free and that was the only paid for part. You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, you want to do the competitive mode, like you really want to do that. Okay, then pay for it. Like, but you're gonna get some cool features and stuff like that. I don't know. I think that'd be okay if the game was free.
Yeah, because that way you could actually play the normal mode once they get rid of the hackers one day, and then you could earn tickets to actually get into that without paying occasionally, like just through time. That wouldn't be a terrible solution, I guess.
I mean,
If
overall,
they do it right,
I hate
we're
this kind
assuming.
of stuff anyways.
Yeah.
I just hate where the industry is going, and I hope it fails miserably, just over every single person that does this, just because it's like, sell something that's worth something, and then just let it be. Like, none of this bullcrap. It's so annoying.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just frustrating. I mean, I'm really excited about, Elder Scrolls going free, that it's like, now you just buy the game, and then you can play it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm okay with that little, like, 5% where, people who want to have tons of extra features and things like that. Like, okay, like maybe like for Battlefield 3, like with a lot of the premium stuff, maybe the higher weapons that you really unlock all that stuff. You play it that much that you would be like, man, I want to get extra guns and little features and things like that I probably wouldn't care about because I don't play it as much.
Sure.
I'm fine with game companies maybe doing that, but man, when it's just like, just let me play the dang game, please. And it's like, well, you got to pay $7, and then you'll have this, and you can buy this marketplace. And I'm like, I just think it fractures the community a lot.
Mm.
And yeah, so let's move on to something happy to talk about. How about that, Joel? What's being revealed in April?
Star Wars, baby. Star Wars Battlefront is supposed to be shown off at the April...
Battlefield Hardline Star Wars Edition.
Battlefront. Sorry, I meant to say Battlefront.
No, I said
That's the sound of the Empire.
I think you said Battlefront. I was
Maybe
just.
I did.
It's.
I listened to a Star Wars
Edition.
podcast called Rebel Force Radio, and the guys on there actually are going to be hosting some event there, and they're really excited about it because they're going to be showing off more of that Rebels Clone Wars show. And then, man, Star Wars Battlefront. I hope it's not like a CGI trailer or like a tiny little glimpse. I hope we get to see a little bit of the gameplay at least. That's gonna be exciting.
And they're showing it off for a rumored holidays 2015 launch window. So May of 2016, April, May. What are you thinking?
No, I think it'll be fall. I think it's gonna be.
You think
fall.
it's not going to be delayed?
Sorry. So my bad. You said May 2016. I'm thinking like this. I was like, wait,
no,
why?
no.
Sorry, because I was like, wait a second.
How awesome would you feel? They're like, and it's coming out next week. You'd be like,
Oh my god! Like if the game could get a
higher scream, though,
5.0, and I'd still get it, enjoy it for a little bit.
Now, Joel, I sent you this earlier. I've been playing some Hardline, not super impressed with the netcode and all, a lot of the same issues that BF4 had. But apparently on Battlefield 4's CTE program today, the engine has been brought up to 60 hertz tick rate, which, as a reminder, Battlefield 4 at launch had like a 12 to 15 tick rate.
which was the source of a lot of its problems.
Yeah, so it's
Except
it's 30
what is
right now.
Hardline at though?
Sorry, say again, Joel. You
What is
broke
hard?
up.
Oh, sorry. What is Hardline at?
Hardline's at 30. So it's better, but it still has like occasional wonkiness. Like you still get occasionally shot behind a corner or killed a little bit too fast. So they're doubling that again to 60 in Battlefield 4 with a patch, hopefully in the next few months. So if Battlefront hits 60 and we have more laser-based weapons that don't have to have like more accurate ballistics, that's a good sign. So
Yeah,
exciting.
If they can make it unreleased, not 6 months later, because I'll be done with the game.
Yeah,
6 months
I'm no
later.
longer excited about CTE updates for Battlefield 4. Like, no offense, guys.
Just
they missed
look at
the window.
just think of it like this: Battlefield 4 CTE can just be renamed to Battlefront User Testing. Is all it is at this point.
I don't know what you guys, but I mean, like, for me to be playing a game 6 months later, it's got to be a dang good game.
Or Dark Souls.
Yeah, or Daisy and Dark Souls, and like a game like Fallout, like I can play for a very long period of time and can come back to it and really enjoy it. But
Right.
Although Daisy's losing me a little bit, but
Well,
that's
to be
a whole
fair,
other discussion.
Daisy's been out for like
Yeah.
years now, so it's
Yeah,
not
it
like
has- it has been.
you don't have to say
Well,
Daisy's
and
I've
been
played
losing
a lot
you.
of.
You could also just be moving on from Daisy after 500 hours, and that would be very reasonable.
That is definitely what appears to be happening. I think I'm moving on just from the like whole open world survival genre. Honestly.
I do feel a little bit tired of the open world survival genre just because it's all the same exact story. Look how realistic. Look at these deep systems. Look at all these hackers. We're overhauling everything.
And then the back of my head is thinking, oh my gosh, to really enjoy it, I need to play like 5 hours straight, and I can't do it. Like if I'm having fun already from the start, I probably will get to the 5 hour mark. Oh man, I can't get to the 5 hour mark and then it'd be fun.
Just jump in after Dave finds a vehicle. I'm gonna play taxi for you.
That's
I'm gonna
how
give it a
Dave
shot
and
again
James
when
did.
the game
Dave
is
was
done.
like, I have a truck. Do you want to play?
Yeah.
I'm like, yes.
Yeah,
When,
sure, we're in 5
when
minutes.
helicopters are in, helicopters are working, and there's more than one helicopter, not just one helicopter that takes 18 hours to build. I'll play again.
That was fun the first time.
Yeah, it was very
first
fun the first
time.
time. First time. That's it.
I don't know if there's ever been more nervousness than watching the gaslight blink while Dave flies across the water in Daisy.
Didn't we swim across with those gas tanks like in our backpack
Yep.
and we carry like 2 per person? And we poured this tiny amount of fuel into this giant helicopter gas tank and like, all right, now just get to the gas station.
That was fun, but I feel like all fun things eventually come to an end, you know? And I feel like it has come to an end.
Except for Dark Souls.
Well, there's always more Dark Souls, and it's a finished game. Except for multiplayer. All multiplayer is never finished.
All right. Arma 3's Marksman DLC is coming out very, very soon. It is coming out April 8th. Dave, what can people look forward to in the Arma 3 Marksman DLC?
All I know is I'm just happy that Bohemia loves me enough to release DLC for Arma on my birthday. I mean, they really care about me, and this makes me very happy.
Dave is fishing for presents. You may send them to casualshenanigans@gmail.com.
Unless it's War Armor DLC, you guys have been not matched already. So, the DLC does Bohemia's usual thing, where the DLC itself isn't an amazing value. There isn't like a huge list of new features because they release a good like 50% of the gameplay stuff for free in a big patch that comes out. So all of the performance improvements, the AI tweaks like AI suppression, reaction to fire, stuff like that should really improve how the AI acts, makes them act more like real enemies and not like Terminators. All that stuff's going to be free. Bipods are going to be free. Gosh, what else is going on? There's new weapon sounds coming for basically all of the default vanilla weapons that sound much, much better. All that stuff's going to be free. What you're paying for in the DLC are the new weapons and the new scenarios, basically. There are 10 or 11 new weapons, a mixture of DMRs and light machine guns, actually, all based around that marksmanship concept of long-range support. And they are beautiful, they handle well, they sound great, and they're all based off of like a futuristic combination of real-world weapons. And they look pretty solid. So as an owner of the DLC bundle already, I'm looking forward towards my free stuff. That means I already paid for it last year.
And the DLC is what, $15 if you buy it standalone? Nightcall's asking.
Yeah, it should be $15. And I bought the bundle last year just after sinking hundreds of hours into Arma 3 because I'm like, I paid $32 for Arma 3 in alpha, and I actually felt bad about it by the end. I was like, this is like a platform that I paid for. I can buy the DLC.
Yeah. Bohemia is one of the rare devs, like when they announced DLC, although I never got around to buying the chopper one, I should just buy the pack already, would probably be smart.
Buy the pack, yeah.
I hadn't thought about it, but they do DLC right. James, by the way, your video went away. You're back.
I went away.
Okay.
No, James.
They do DLC really well. I like how they do DLC. I never have any issues giving the Arma Bohemia team more money. I don't want to give the DayZ team more money right now.
Yeah, give it time. Let them earn it all the way.
Exactly. Yeah, like I kind of already paid them. I just kind of want to wait. But yeah, things are good. And then
of course we have. I wanted to say one more thing on Arma 3 DLC.
Yes.
It will continue to be, interrupting your transition, a good year for Arma DLC. The 3D editor is coming out supposedly this summer. Is what they're aiming for. It'll be similar to Zeus, but full level and mission editing in a 3D editor. And I'm pretty sure, guys, that I'm going to close my YouTube channel and you guys just won't see me outside of Arma anything. Like, it's just going to end me. And then we have the larger DLC coming out at the end of the year with a new terrain sometime in November or December. And there's rumors it could either be a really detailed desert terrain, something Middle Eastern, or possibly a snow terrain, Bohemia's first official snow terrain. That's my rumors.
Oh, can't you wait to drive trucks up hills on that thing? You think it's slow now?
The whole world's just gonna be textured just white. No difference. Just be a white color.
Just an overlay.
Yeah.
It's like a filter even. Like if you look like carefully, like all the grass like still looks like grass. Like
They just
like
bumped
look into it.
They just bumped the brightness up and reduced the saturation down to like
It hurts my
5%.
eyes.
So what's this next bit of news about Gabe Newell discussing Half-Life 3? Who put that in there? What's going on with that?
Oh man.
Joel, you
This
can
is
tell
Joel's
this news.
crushing news.
Yeah, this. I swear, every single time. Okay, I think it was maybe a couple months ago. There's been kind of like rumor mills of Half-Life 3 stuff, and
There's always rumors.
well, here's one that it hasn't been debunked yet. There was a couple things that got leaked from Steam, like actual official like records and things like that. That no one's figured out if it's completely fake or not yet. Mentioning Half-Life 3, Source 2. I mean, Source 2 was shown off for the VR and stuff, or at least it's really soon, and I would wager a lot of money that it is Source 2. And then they went ahead and said they have Source 2 and they're building it, and they talked about it. And then Gabe was just talking about like the possibility of Half-Life 3. He says like the only way it's gonna be made is if anyone at Valve pretty much just says, like their staff just says, you know what, I really want to make Half-Life 3. I've got a story, and then and pushes to do it. But I mean, like, now, the fanboy in me goes, please, I hope he's just like, it's coming out soon, and he's like, just having fun these last 6 months to be like, let's just jerk people's chains around.
Given the track record, I'm gonna lean towards
I mean, it's
them
been a long
just
time.
not making it.
And I wouldn't be so frustrated if the fact that the last game didn't end a story at all. Like, that's what frustrates me mostly, is that it really is just, it's just like Empire Strikes Back ends, and you're just like, that's it. Thanks, guys. That was Star Wars. I'm like, oh, what?
Joel, wasn't episode 3
You know?
due out within 6 months of the release of episode
Yeah,
2? It was like 6
there
or
was-
8 months.
There was actually a teaser trailer for episode 3. Do you guys remember that?
I
No,
never
not
saw
at
that.
all.
No.
There's actually a trailer teaser for episode 3. It shows Alex Vance like holding on to this edge and like, frustrating. And so it just sucks that like it just.
Did you read the actual quote?
I did. Like, it was earlier this morning.
Because it wasn't just, if everybody wants to do it, then we'll do it. It's like the only reason to go back and do a super
Classic
classic.
type of-
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Basically, what he was saying was, and it's not unreasonable, they're like, yeah, but you know what, guys? Like, we make tons of money doing this other thing. We're one of the leading forces in the industry for PC gaming. We don't need to do this, and unless a bunch of people want to, there's no reason to. That's basically what he was saying, is just because we've done it in the past doesn't mean we need to do it now. Like, Valve today is very different from the Valve who made Half-Life 2, for the better.
Yeah.
But it may mean you never get it.
But the Valve of today could sell the rights and oversee it.
They could, and part of me thinks that they could always be just working on it in the background and they're just not in a rush and they'll release it. I would be surprised, just because everything else they do is so gamer friendly for the most part. Like, I'd be surprised if they didn't plan on doing something with it at someday. But or he may just actually be being honest and they have no plans to build it.
Because
so who
the one
knows?
other thing you mentioned, you're talking about like how much they learned in shipping Portal 2 and like including multiplayer and stuff like that. It almost pisses me off the fact that nowadays everyone's like, gotta have multiplayer, gotta have this, you gotta have social media connected.
Half-Life 2
you
had
know what I mean?
multiplanger.
Well, I mean, sorry, like in the
It was a
single player.
reskinning of
You know what I-
Counter-Strike.
Yeah, I know. But you know what I mean? Like, it's like every game now has to be connected to this and that. I'm like, I don't think they have that correct. I think, for games like Dota and things like that are massive, I mean, millions of people, more people play that than almost any game in the world, It's like, okay, there are games that people want to play, but then again, do those games, they want to be constantly connected to everything social? I guess so. But so maybe I hate everyone that plays Dota because you're ruining Half-Life 3. Because it's like, I mean, if you think about it,
Joel, there's too many of them.
like, honestly, I was thinking, like, what would a Half-Life 3 game look like nowadays? You know what I mean? Like, just even the gameplay of how Half-Life 2 works, it seems so different than nowadays.
Half-Life 2,
want
I think,
that.
holds up pretty well. Like,
I
it's not
think
as
so
dated as a
too.
lot of
I don't.
things.
Yeah, I don't think it's as dated as
Yeah,
people
yeah,
think,
but I've always said, like, with games like BioShock coming out, that took it a little bit further. I mean, a Half-Life's not going to be as stellar.
It's not going to
now,
blow you
unle-
away like it did.
yeah.
Unless it came with VR.
Right, that would literally be the only way they could do a leg up, but not everybody's going to buy a VR. So if they
For
don't do
Half-Life 3, I bet a lot of people would buy the Valve VR.
Joel would buy 6 just to say that he did. I support you, Gaben. Love me.
Nah, it just sucks because I'm like, But then again, are we going to see a Portal 3? Like, does it matter? Are we going to see a Left 4 Dead 3? Or any of those games? Or just like, no, let's keep a game reiterating for 10 years. Let's just keep Left 4 Dead 2 alive for 10 years with hats and stuff, you know? So, I mean, I can understand if they're like, you know, we don't have an idea. I don't know how to make this. If we can't make it perfect, I mean, let's not make it and ruin the, you know, the image of what Half-Life is, you know, which is fine. Like, I wouldn't want them to end the game and like have everything resolve, every little tiny mystery, you know. I like the mystery of the G-Man and things like that. Like, it's kind of my childhood. I was like wondering like what was he doing and everything, and I like that. But I just wanted to be able to have a little resolve of the story because it ended literally like it felt like halfway in the story, and I was like, I want to know.
I don't think that this is a game that they can take their time on. Like, I literally think for them to be innovative in the game, they have to either, like, work on it wholeheartedly, hardcore, or just give it away. I mean,
because I mean, like,
I don't want them to give it away. Right now, if they never made another one, it goes down in history as one of the best first-person shooters / best game series of all time. If they make another one and it's anything less than incredible, that's tainted.
Yeah.
Like, what if Battlefield had stopped at Battlefield 3? It'd be one of the best multiplayer shooters of all time, you know?
Yep.
What if Call of Duty had stopped at Modern Warfare 2?
But you can still go back and play those games at least. It's not like those games are gone.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there would be enough interest. Even if it wasn't a perfect 10, if it wasn't, you know, an 8 or 8.5.
But do you want it to happen if it's not an awesome game? Like, would you want... And not the scores mean everything, but we know what we're talking about. Like, would you want an 8 Half-Life or a 7.5 Half-Life?
If it, as opposed to nothing, yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, same thing with Fallout. If Fallout wasn't going to make a new system or on a new engine, they were just going to keep doing the Fallout 3 New Vegas, I would be okay because I like getting into that universe. Mm-hmm. And the same thing with Half-Life, being able to play in that universe is what was awesome.
I think I just really, really wanted to see Valve come back on top. I mean, like, when Portal 2 came out, I mean, it was a fantastic game. I mean, amazing reviews, right? But it's like, I wanted to see Valve show off their new Source engine. I wanted to see, what do they have? You know what I mean? Like,
Valve's never been good at that, though. They're always like, hey, here's a thing. It's ready.
I know.
They're never like, we're Valve. Dude, look at what we got to show you.
E3 2003 was one of the coolest, like, E3s in my life. Like, I remember watching on GameSpot, I think it was GameSpot or something like that, watching their showing off Source engine. It blew my mind. I'd never seen anything like that. I didn't know you could do that in a game, you know?
Watching it in 160p online, you're like, this is amazing.
Yeah. But like hearing them like show all the physics and then showing the first couple levels in Ravenholm. Oh my gosh. I was like, this is Half-Life? Like, I remember going through like a science laboratory and stuff like, this is Half-Life? This is insane. Like the swinging stuff and the crows flying around, you could shoot and they'd fall. I would love to see Half-Life 3 go, you know what? The graphics are going to be absolutely insane. You're going to have like water, fluid physics, like just, I wanted them to incorporate Portal. Like, I think they have the most incredible story world that they could combine to make, like, just imagine halfway through Half-Life 3, you meet up with the Portal 2 person, you know, Gladys, you find out the whole Borealis ship and the Portal things. It's like, what in the world? I think they could do a lot of fun stuff, but I just think they're just having a really hard time, honestly, getting it there. And I think honestly, I bet they've scrapped it several times.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, they keep letting it sit for too long, and they just have to throw everything away and start over.
Mm-hmm. So maybe it makes sense when he's saying, like, it needs to be someone who goes to work there. Maybe I'll go to work then. I'll be like, guys, we got to make this happen.
Do we have a shame of the week this week?
We don't.
Can I add one?
Sure.
Ultra Grunt has never played Half-Life 2.
What?
You're not a fan of us? You're not a fan of good games? Buy it now. Play it now. It's probably free. You already own it in Steam. I know.
Yeah, if you have a Steam account, you probably own Half-Life.
Yeah, you own it.
I'm disappointed, to be honest.
Jump in and play it. The game holds up really well. Enjoy it.
And the last bit of news, the Elder Scrolls is now free. Is that correct? Elder Scrolls Online?
I finished downloading it yesterday. It's 50 gigs again.
Not free, but the game, you pay for the game, and then the service
buy, and then
is
it's
free.
just you buy the game.
Okay.
No more subscription.
Fee.
Yeah, no more subscription fee.
Okay. All right. It is now time for the Potato Patch, part of the podcast where we talk about everything going on in the narrow, narrow world of console gaming. The PSN is going down for maintenance on Monday, which is only significant because Bloodborne's coming out on Tuesday.
Whatever could that be for?
The PSN's going down for 3 hours for maintenance. Basically, please let Bloodborne work when it launches. So, yep, that's happening. Fortunately, it's not all day. That really sucked for anyone trying to do a preload on the horrible PlayStation network.
Well, preload starts Tuesday. No.
Yeah,
Sunday.
that's not called a
No, it starts
preload. That's
Sunday.
called just
Sorry.
buying it.
Sorry, it starts Sunday.
Okay.
So I hope the game can preload all Sunday.
That's not good, because if it's that's like
know.
a 25, 30 gig game on the PSN, that could easily take from
I'm
Sunday
getting
to
a disc
Tuesday.
copy. Screw
At
you,
least have
PSN.
My
it
disc
done.
copy gets here Tuesday. Woo!
Yeah, Amazon, I love you.
Target has a good deal where if you buy Bloodborne and a $20 PSN card, you get $15 off. So basically, you get Bloodborne, and then for $5 you get $20 for the
That's
PSN.
a pretty good deal.
Nice.
I'm
Oh,
really
man, I'd be
lazy though.
crushed
I
if
don't like going to actual
The
places
PS4 just
to buy
doesn't even
things.
work on Tuesday. Like, not at all. Like, the game doesn't even. I'd cry.
Joel, what if you're sick on Tuesday and you're at home, you're ready for just Bloodborne, and just nothing works until like 11 p.m. Are you just gonna stay
That's
up
like
anyway?
all the people who stay home to play like Battlefield on launch day. And then shockers, it doesn't work.
Would you just stay
as
up,
long
Joel?
as long as it unlocks, I can play it. I'm not worried about it. It doesn't need to connect online to play the game.
That's true.
It just needs to be able to unlock. I just hope it doesn't have any problems downloading and then unlocking.
What if it
and all
doesn't
that, so.
unlock until
Oh, dude,
11 p.m.
What
on
if it does
Tuesday?
need to be
I will.
connected?
I will drive over to your house. I know you have a copy.
Oh gosh, I've said
Keep
too
your gun
much.
ready. Actually,
Right.
if, you know if that. Seriously,
you
if
would
that
come
happened,
over?
could I get your game to install it, and then
No,
just
it
take
doesn't
the
install. It just installs a couple files it needs to run. If you
No,
wanna
no,
run
no.
it just off a
a
hard
disc?
drive.
No, a disc.
It doesn't.
installs
It doesn't
the
work that way,
entire
Joel.
install.
Just stop.
It doesn't
Just
work
stop.
that way. That was going to be how the Xbox One.
No, the PS4. You pop in the disc and immediately starts
Right,
installing
but
the entire game.
you don't think it knows if it's a digital download or a disc?
I believe that's the way the Xbox One was going to work.
Well,
where
I guess
if
I'm
if
not
you
sure
put
how
in
it
the
would
disc,
go.
it would fully install it, but you'd still have to have the disc or something. I don't think that's the case with the PS4. I think it only installs what it absolutely needs to, because most games are way ready to play way too quick.
I don't know. I did.
No,
I had-
PS4 does install our games.
The entire game, though.
Yeah, you still need the disc if you have the game, right? But
Does
if
it-
you
does it
buy
do
a
it in the
digital
background,
copy,
then?
it can use that
Yeah,
copy. I think.
when you put it in, it's immediately starting to copy.
and does it all in the background?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, you could see the status bar.
I don't think it does the entire game files though, because I've looked at the storage on my PlayStation, and it's not using up as much as the number of games I've put in there. It doesn't. I mean, I could be wrong, but I
look
feel
it
like
up.
I've played more games.
I know when I forget what game it was. It was the Wolfenstein. I popped it in, and it immediately I could play the first tutorial part of it, and then it says it's still installing, and it was installing from the disc, and it took I think 15-20 minutes to install.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, let's pray that doesn't happen.
Joel, you would come over and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna hang out and watch. Like my copy's not working," and you just keep scooting closer and closer. Hey, can I just give it a quick try?
Yeah.
And like 10 hours later,
Hey, you
I'm
won't
like,
be
Joel,
home. You won't even be home, Dave. You're not planning on staying home that day. I'll just call Jesse. I'll take your
well,
copy.
she's working on Tuesday too. You're just gonna break into my house and
Yeah, I'll break into your house.
You can drive to my house and borrow it.
let's be honest here, Jeremiah. PSN would unlock faster.
Joel, you should have gotten like the collector's edition.
I actually plan.
Joel, you should drive your butt to Walmart.
What
and
you're
just buy
you're
it.
planning on getting it?
Like down the road. I'm not gonna buy right now, but I'm gonna get on disc like when it's on sale again because I want to get the
You think the collector's
guide and
edition is
everything.
going to be available down the road?
Yeah, probably.
There's always eBay.
I'm not talking about. Are you talking about the $150 one or just like the $70 one?
The $70 one.
Yeah, the $70 one will be online. It's that like really $150 one with like little statues and crap. That won't be available.
All right. We don't really have a topic of the week this week, but we're really quickly going to touch in with Dave, who's played some Battlefield Hardline, which I guess I have too on Dave's account. We're doing a Potato Masher review of Battlefield Hardline coming soonish. But Dave,
Actually, let's be honest here. If it hadn't been for the money that Patreon helped out with for the Potato Masher stuff, I wouldn't have bought it yet. And even then, I didn't buy it from Origin.
so tell us what you think.
I won't say I haven't had fun in it, but it's really hard to get to the fun parts. There's a lot of frustration. I was reading over PC Gamer's first impressions of the multiplayer today, and I really agree, because there's just a little bit of the network problems, just enough to be noticeable, still hanging about. And the time to kill is so fast, and there's still a little too much explosives, and the maps are a little bit smaller, but there's still so many players. A combination of all of the above makes it so that even as a long-time Battlefield player, I'm spending much more time staring at the respawn screen than actually playing. And a problem that this PC Gamer reviewer was pointing out that I've experienced several times over and over again was spawn deaths. They happen way too much. I'll click on a squad mate to like watch the little camera of them running around. I'll be like, okay, I'm not going to spawn on him. I feel like he's about to, yep, he's dead. I'll go to the next guy, like, not sure about him either. I feel like he's about to, yep, he's dead. Third one, like, all right, watching, I think it's safe. All right, I'm going for it. Spawn. Run over by a car, both of us. And then what'll happen is that'll happen like 3 or 4 times in a row where you're spawning in enough time to take hit markers or get hit by an explosion that like you don't even see where it was coming from. And you know, that's a little bit of the nature of Battlefield. It's a more sandboxy shooter with a large amount of players. You're going to have stuff that kills you that you don't see coming and that's hard to predict. But for some reason in Hardline, it's like right in your face and it's a consistent issue. Whereas even in Battlefield 4, I didn't feel like I had this many deaths that were completely unavoidable and out of my hands with no warning. Mm-hmm. And I haven't tried single player yet. And actually, I'm putting a lot of my value for Hardline into the single player because I really like the concept of the non-lethal takedowns, playing as a cop, flashing your badge, experiencing the police brutality simulator that is Battlefield combined with cops and robbers. So I'm hoping that's going to be at least, you know, fun. It's like 6 or 7 hours worth. And I'll try that out this weekend, I hope.
If the Order is a full-size game, Battlefield Hardline's campaign can be too. I've played just a little bit of it so far, recording footage for our Potato Masher comparison. I will say it does perform a little bit better than Battlefield 4 in my experience. It does not seem to have the nasty memory leak issues. It was pushing the memory to the limit, but it wasn't leaking bad enough at least to like make the game start stuttering. But I don't think it looks that good. I don't know if you have any thoughts to add on that, Dave, but at 1080p on the highest settings, I did not think it looked as good as Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4.
All right,
that's exactly what I said because when I played the beta as well, I thought it looked really bad.
Let me actually have you chime in just a second, Joel, because I want to see what you think. I know you were talking
Joel,
about
he
that
respects your opinion. Why don't you just shut up for a minute? We'll come back to you.
You know how I submitted? You see how I submitted? It's because I can see his beard clearly defined in his webcam.
A sign of dominance.
The alpha beard is speaking.
Yeah,
well, I know
actually,
James has got flecks of gray in his. He's the alpha beard.
That's true. No, I want Joel to kind of bookend it because I want to answer your question first because I agree with you partially. Running around, it doesn't seem as visually impressive as Battlefield 4, but if you like turn off all the UI, which is overwhelming, like, turn the UI off and look around from a technical and environment art perspective, the game looks really good, and I think in a lot of cases it is a slight improvement over Battlefield 4. The main problems are, like I said, the UI is just too cluttered, too distracting. And then characters, I think characters are the only step down. Technically, like texture-wise and all, they look really good, but they went with like a thinner skeleton for the characters and more of like a wonky, kind of slapsticky animation set for them, which really contrasts with the environment. So you have these nice-looking environments that look pretty real, and then kind of slapsticky explosions, car flipping, thin skeleton, slapsticky characters, and it's a weird contrast. I think that's what's so distracting. But I think from just a purely technical perspective, the game does look really good, at least to match with Battlefield 4, if not better. But Joel, what do you think? Having played the beta, I think just you haven't played the retail version.
I haven't played the retail version, so I don't know yet. But when we were driving around, like the map was so ridiculously small. And
they were small.
Well, the boring part was, okay, you have these cars that don't drive great. You have a very small map, so it's like you don't really have anywhere to hide. Like I felt like, okay, this is a heist. It's like, all right, let's gang up, maybe let's sneak up to the bank, shoot it open, and then we'll get attacked. But no, it was literally it's team deathmatch constantly.
It's alleyway 1 or alleyway 2 are your choices.
And I was just like, I didn't like that in Battlefield 4. I'm not gonna like this in Hardline at all. So I mean, the Battlefield I really enjoyed. I know everyone hated it, but I really enjoyed Metro from Battlefield 3. I enjoyed just because it was kind of like you never really seemed to get hit from the sides on that map. It was just kind of like you knew where the enemy was going to come from, kind of straight ahead.
Well, because there was no flanking. It was.
Well, no, I know that, but I enjoyed that because it was kind of like, okay, you got to work through each area. Like, yay, we capture this area, capture that area. But then and then I enjoyed a lot of other parts of Battlefield 3. But then Battlefield 4 with the lag that was retarded. Like, the beta was amazing. I really enjoyed the beta. I couldn't believe how smooth the guns and weapons felt in the beta. And then I was just like, oh, this is crap. And then every DLC, like new maps came out. Then it just got more and more divided. Everyone was playing random maps. And I don't know. I had a hard time finding good servers where the server would say 24/7 team deathmatch is like, 6-on-6. Sweet, joined it. 64-player conquest. I'm like, I hate that. I hate that crap. I'm like, just tell me if it's going to be random, play random. But I like when I was playing Last of Us, I like when you click on, I want to play this mode. It's only that mode.
It helps there's only 3 modes.
Yeah, I know there's only 3 modes, but I do enjoy that. It's like,
and
okay,
everyone
I'm
only
going to
plays
click on
the
it.
one.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to play, so.
Yeah.
But whatever.
But the graphics, like, what do you think of Hardline?
It looked like the distance, like the draw distance for the game, it feels less than Battlefield 4. Like, I know it looks like it has, I know, like you go into houses and you can like look around and stuff like that. And there's a few little odds and end tables and stuff. It feels like DayZ, where there's like a couple random tables in a house. I'm like, yay, it's so real. But then you look out in the desert and like the textures immediately they just flop away. They're gone. Like 30 feet out there.
Stupid floppy textures.
Yeah, the textures they kind of get really flat and just generic. Like
I'd
say about like 50 feet in game or something.
That's a good point, Joel. I wonder if they sacrificed some of the draw distance and the further details to have smaller maps with more interior stuff. Because
I just feel like Battlefield 4 looked really good. Like, I mean,
Battlefield
honestly,
3 did close quarters, and those interiors were awesome.
Well, now hold on here. Close quarters did only interiors. That was it. It was a house or a unit or a building. Now Battlefield
they were
4,
big,
Joel,
though, and they were very well detailed and very and there was destruction and everything else.
But they did the one thing.
Yeah.
In Battlefield 4, Joel, there were interiors, but they were completely empty most of the time, or like one shelf inside, like like a.
I know that, but I'm just saying, like, still, like the distance. I'm saying distance stuff. Like, I think overall the game just had a really nice look to it. I think it just James' picture just looks too happy, and it just keeps like looks like he's staring directly into my eyes.
Now, Joel, I want to show you maybe tomorrow. I'll bring in a copy to play during lunch. Some of the other maps, I was surprised. There are maps that are more open that then have some of that destruction like we saw in the Battlefield 3, what did I call it last night, Jeremiah? The indoor DLC.
The indoor DLC, yeah.
I was playing a heist map, Joel, like where you had to like attack this little like drug dealers or drug lords compound. And then when we got inside, I like shotgunned through a sheetrock wall, like, and it took a couple blasts, and like you saw it go through like the sheetrock and like some of the studs and like the interior stuff, and then like again to go all the way through, and like went through into a bathroom that had like mirrors and toilets and sinks and stuff, and then ran out into the hallway and like fought out there. So some of the maps do have more stuff to make up for that lack of distance detail, but I think some of the ones we saw in beta were just a step down maybe for the distance stuff.
Can I be honest about the destruction in Battlefield? I think honestly it doesn't add anything.
In Battlefield Bad Company 2, it did. In Battlefield 3, it did. In Battlefield 4, it stopped mattering.
I played a good bit of Bad Company 2. It was right on the last, like, I'd say 6 months before Battlefield 3 came out. It's actually when I first met Dave, so I didn't get into it too much. I remember it was really cool. It was neat. I think ultimately, if you didn't have it, it really wouldn't make the game that much different. Like, it didn't change it, like, completely. I'd say maybe 10% the game, it was added, like 10%. But I think a lot of it is really annoying to me because like you sit in a room, everything's exploding everywhere. Like every pot, everything is just so much foliage, things ripping apart that it's
it
just
looks really cool in slow motion, but not when you're trying to play.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it looks awesome for single player. Like when you're playing single player, I enjoyed Battlefield 4 single player until it corrupted. But I loved how everything exploded. It was fun for single player because you're kind of guided through an area and it's just supposed to look beautiful and awesome, right? But when you're playing the game and you're running around just shooting things and you do it over and over and over again, all you hear in the game is I don't know. It was like a constant party.
You'll appreciate this, Joel. Well, who wouldn't want to buy Battlefield Hardline? A constant party, Joel, 2015, with a glowing review, a constant party. If you get a 5 kill streak, you can pick like a little perk for yourself, like a flak jacket that helps with the explosions, right?
Yeah.
I think it makes you take like 25% less damage for explosions, but you have a choice. You can do the flak jacket or a second grenade, which is just what I know what you wanted for your
to balance out all the flak jackets.
How is the camera shake in that? Because I know like they tried to limit that a little bit more less.
It's better.
In Battlefield 4.
Tons.
Is it ridiculous?
4.
It is better?
No, better, much better.
Oh, okay.
I haven't found any scenario where the camera shake was too much.
Unless two cars get within 5 feet of each other and they do that weird like where the cars mess up because they can't decide who gets to be where. The camera totally screws up on that. Yeah.
They still have that crazy amount of desync?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I'd say that
it's
Hardline is the best.
2015.
Hardline is the best it's ever been for that. 4 had it really, really bad. Like if 2 Jeeps hit, like you end up facing a totally different direction in 5 seconds.
The best it's ever
100
been
yards
between
away.
4 and Hardline. I mean, 3 pretty much
No,
worked.
no.
If I was EA, I would have people like secret agents sneak over to Bungie and go, "How do you guys make like the warthogs hit each other and it looks cool and it works? Like how?"
Small
In 2001, how'd you do that?
Dude, Halo has bigger maps than Hardline.
Well,
The big ones?
yeah.
Big? No, they're pretty big, but still, like, I don't. How do they do it?
But going back to the
not
3
that
for a second,
different.
Jeremiah.
Well, different
3
engine. I mean, that's
yeah.
The vehicle collision stutter was one of my long-term remaining issues with Battlefield 3. It is almost as bad as Battlefield 4.
it didn't bother me as much though. Like
It bothered me. I spent a lot of time in vehicles in 3, and it was really bad. It continued
I did
up.
too, but the whole driving mechanic seemed way better in 3. I
You
drove
used to
all the
say
time.
you said the cars were really good in Battlefield 4, Dave.
They were.
I've heard those words come out of your mouth many times.
Which cars was I talking about? Because the tanks felt a lot better. Well, now they
No, you were talking about the Jeeps and everything. You told me that. You were like, "Oh, I feel really good. I hope Daisy can get vehicles like that." You told me
Pre-launch.
those specifically.
So pre-launch, there was an interview where they talked about how they were improving the vehicle collision, and they showed some examples, and they talked about the stutter from 3. And because that was one of my long-term issues, I was like,
Yeah, I
"Look,
do remember
guys,
that.
I'm like, they're actually taking this seriously. They've heard the community. They're focusing on this." And then we saw none of that in the final launch. Like none of the improvements that they were showing off and talking about. I guess it just none of it actually worked. In the end, it was still awful.
I'm sad for you, Dave. I honestly am, because I know it's a game that I know it's a series that you really enjoy, and it sucks that like
I
a
enjoyed
game that-
once.
Yeah, yeah. It sucks. It sucks that a game, because it's like you go, "Oh, I want Battlefield 2 again," or you know, it's like too bad you can't just jump back in and play again and it just works fine. Like it's not going to be the same as it was. back in the
I
day.
played Battlefield 2 again like last year, and it just you
It's
can't go
hard.
back.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah,
I tried to play
has-
Bad Company 2 again. You can't go back.
Yeah,
Honestly.
yeah.
had that- the cone of
it's crazy how
dispersion,
different
too.
it is, but
yeah.
All right.
Well, one thing that I will give Hardline is that it's a great spectacle. Like I want to spend some time if I can find some time this weekend just to hang out in spectator mode and watch, because with the radios and the game sound effects are pretty sweet. Great particle effects. It's fun just to kind of sit back and watch. Running towards an objective in Hotwire earlier today, I saw a van T-bone another van, and then like it actually like spun out. Like it actually had physics, almost like a real game that has cars, guys. It didn't glitch like crazy. It actually spun the vehicle, and it looked really cool. And so yeah, it's a good spectacle. I might spend more time just watching than playing in the end. Who's to say? Maybe the actual gameplay will improve from here. We'll see how it goes.
All right. It is now time for our next Potato Masher video. Now, this is our first, since the first video, the introduction video to the Potato Masher, this is our first one that is not a comparison between the PC and the PS4. It's just about the PC, which we're going to do more of these. Because you're not just buying, like, point of buying a computer is not just to play all the games you could play on your PlayStation 4, but better. Like, that's not the point. The point is to get everything the PC has to offer, and one of those things is lots of PC exclusives, just like a PS4 or an Xbox has plenty of exclusives. So this week is Cities Skylines. So if everyone, all the hosts, if you guys can cue that up if you want to watch
Yeah.
it. Everyone ready?
Good to go.
All right, in 3, 2, 1.
I gotta say, I love your font and black and white titles.
Thanks, man.
Tilt shift.
Today we're going to be taking a look at Cities Skylines on the Potato Masher. Now, the Potato Masher is a computer custom built for $356 in December of 2014 and designed to compete against the PlayStation 4 for the duration of its life cycle. But today we are looking at Cities Skylines, which is a PC exclusive game. So there will be no PlayStation 4 comparisons.
Dang it, this is gonna make me
Now,
wanna buy it.
Cities is the latest in a long series of city builders that had its most noticeable outing in last year's Sim City, which was kind of a failure as far as a lot of fans of the city builder genre are concerned. And Cities Skylines has been looked forward to by a lot of different people, and all of their hopes and dreams seem to have paid off because the game is fantastic. As always, links to the build video and the parts list for the Potato Masher are in the description of this video, as well as a link to a full quality download if you want a pixel peep. For now, let's talk about the game's visuals. If there was ever a game where a locked 60 FPS wasn't really that necessary, it would probably be a city builder like Cities Skylines. As long as your frame rate stays above 30, so the game looks smooth, then you'll probably be pretty good. Now, I turned all the settings up to very high on the Potato Masher, and I'm looking at 2 maps. I'm looking at one that I'm working on, my own custom city on Evil Viking 13's Appalachia map, which is, you can currently find it in the Steam Workshop. I'm also looking at a user-designed map called the Los Santos, I believe. It's the GTA 5 map. And I'm using that one too because it's such a large map that if we're going to get any slowdown, we'll definitely notice it on there. Now, like I said, the frame rate is pretty good and the game looks great. And as you zoom into street level stuff, it's going to slow down. That's just how the game is. And it's not really that any one piece of the Potato Masher is being pushed that hard. It's just that the game doesn't render things that fast when you're looking at such a close level, or when you turn the game simulation speed up to the highest setting. That will also slow your frame rate down a little bit. But again, as long as it's above 30, you're really not going to notice that unless you have a frame rate counter on and the game looks great. There's no noticeable screen tearing or anything like that. So 1080p, all the settings, runs great. There's really not much to talk about in a good way. There's not many graphic settings to adjust, and the game just works fine. Running City Skylines at 1440p is pretty much the same as running it at 1080p. Everything just works. I turned all the settings up to very high. Very, very slight frame rate dip, but again, the slowdowns when they happen in this game are more to do with the simulation than they are your graphics horsepower. So as you can see, zooming around, zooming into city level, running at higher speeds, the game still runs great. You get occasional momentary drops below 30 FPS, but they're so quick that again, if you don't have a frame rate counter, you'll never notice or feel like the game is running noticeably choppy. Any choppiness you might see here is just me scrolling around with the mouse and keyboard. But the game looks and feels very, very smooth, and the same is true at 4K. Now, 4K does have more noticeable frame drops when they happen. They tend to drop to the mid-20s, but honestly, there's not really that much of a noticeable difference when you're just watching it, but it is there. I mean, you can definitely tell the game
really
is starting to run a little bit slower, but it looks absolutely fantastic. And the drop in performance, I think, is probably worth it if you really wanted to play this game at 4K. But again, we're talking about playing a game on a monitor that costs more than the computer you're using to play it. So 4K is really more of a nice bonus feature than it is a necessity, because I have a 4K monitor and I could very happily play this game at 1440p or 1080p. It's just not the type of game that needs a super high resolution, but the Potato Masher certainly can deliver. And then, just for fun, I decided to try to use a mod that lets you scale up the resolution even farther to run the game at 5K, and this happened. And even on the lowest settings, it doesn't really work, so that was probably not worth trying, but I just thought it would be fun.
The lines, though, are so smooth.
In conclusion, City Skylines on the Potato Masher is a pretty game that runs great and has no real downsides unless you can't run anything less than a maximum 60 FPS locked V-synced blah blah blah, in which case you're just kind of being pedantic, because you should definitely enjoy this game even if you can't run it at 60, and it looks fantastic, and it'll probably run on whatever computer you already have, even if you don't have something even as fast as the Potato Masher. So thanks for watching. Make sure to check out the description for any links to anything you might want to know about the Potato Masher, and see you next time.
This is going to sound super nerdy, even for me, but
We expect that.
there's just something super enjoyable about a well laid out traffic system. Just seeing all the cars go where they're supposed to. Oh,
So you're saying
that's
mine
good
doesn't
stuff.
look very... That's the first glimpse you've seen of mine. Mine's a train wreck.
Well, I mean, you had sections that were kind of trucking along though.
Oh, actually, that's quite a few hours older
Yeah.
than where I'm at. Where I'm currently at, the traffic is all moving very fast. It just looks ugly. But it's fast, but it's ugly. Yeah, I mean, do any of you guys have any thoughts about City Skylines? Like, it's a pretty open and shut thing. It just works fine. Like, there's no
Great
big
performance,
scandal.
yeah. I think you're right too. The stuttering is just the simulation hiccups sometimes. Just a matter of all the parallel stuff that those games are doing. It's not the hardware. It's just it's not really the game either. It's just kind of it's a sim game. It's gonna have those little type of
Yeah,
issues.
and again, and it's really, unless I had a frame rate counter, I never would have noticed. Like, it was...
Exactly.
It feels completely smooth all the time. Even when you zoom in, the frame rate drops into like the mid-20s for a second. You don't notice. It's just not that type of game.
I kind of just bought it. I bought it for my wife because when Bloodborne comes
for
out,
your
she'll
wife.
need something.
Right.
Yeah.
No, sure,
Your
man.
sexy video sold it.
Joel, I am 32 hours in by the timer.
How much have
been
you
a
actually
week.
played it?
There's a lot of idle time. Like if I'm working on freelance stuff, it's in the background just earning me money, flowing that traffic.
Dude, they should make a Fable like game like that. It's just all it is top down, but it's Fable design. That would actually be really cool.
It'd be better than what they've been coming out with.
Yeah. Dang it! That video, like, the close
Makes
street
it-
up views. I was like,
Looks
this
nice.
looks
Doesn't it?
like-
I did have the
this
tilt
looks like
shift
fun.
all the way up.
Do you think
but-
it'll run just fine on my computer?
Your desktop?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I was running it on my Core i3 low voltage laptop in the living room. Not well.
How does my computer stand against the Potato Masher? Honestly, I mean, because I know.
Yours
You,
is-
I mean, so
It's faster.
Your PC, your CPU is pretty fast.
You have a
compared to that.
GTX 770, which
Yeah.
is one step up from the Potato Masher's GPU, which the GPU on the Potato Masher can handle pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Like, not on always the highest settings, but
I
your
guess I'm really
processor,
big by RAM and GPU.
you got like 16 gigs of RAM. You're good.
yeah.
Dude, you're not going to need 16 gigs of RAM for games for like probably another 10 years.
Yeah.
And then your CPU is faster than mine, and my CPU isn't getting pushed on any games. And the Potato Masher's CPU, honestly, isn't getting pushed on any games.
Oh,
I mean-
and one cool thing about the CPU in cities, Joel, because these kind of simulators have so many parallel processes, if you bring up your task manager, this game will use all 12 threads of a hexa-core CPU.
Oh wow.
Like, on my CPU, when I run it at like full screen,
No,
every
isn't
core
that
is...
what you have?
Yeah. Every core is at like 20.
Did you just ask him if that's what he has?
Because here I
He's
kind of forgot.
mentioned
I know,
like every single podcast.
Well, I don't remember him saying hexacore. I remember him saying that a long time. I can't remember if he actually bought one or not. I know he has a ridiculous CPU.
He's been
that
saying it
talks
like
about all
every-
the time, but
You know,
I
on my
face
on
it.
my hexacore i7. I mean,
Me
every
personally,
podcast.
with my hexacore, it actually wasn't me that discovered it. Someone on Reddit posted it. He's like, so I decided to check out the task manager. He's like, this game uses all my threads completely evenly, just because the nature of the game. It's not easy, but it's more straightforward to parallel process stuff compared to other games. It's pretty sweet.
All right. It is now time for mail time.
mail time.
Ben, not Ben in chat, but different Ben, I believe.
Different
wrote,
Ben.
wrote into casualshenanigans@gmail.com. Did you see this one, Dave? Did you
I
see
did
this
not.
email? Oh, okay. He wrote into casualshenanigans@gmail.com, just like you can. And he said, Mr. Fashionista, I was listening to the casual conversations and discovered your expertise in fashion talking to me. Small spoilers, not an expert in fashion. This email is a bit of a joke, a bit serious. I'm looking for recommendations for what to wear when it's really hot out, like 80 to 90 degrees, that would be slightly dressier attire, such as you'd wear to go on a date, or a slightly more dressy event, not necessarily warranting a tie. Any suggestions? Also including footwear. And this is totally unrelated to anything about this podcast, but I'm going to answer it anyway, just because I was amused. First thing, I'm not an expert, so
To us peasants.
take this with a heaping spoonful of salt. Honestly, I would suggest going to reddit.com/r/male fashion advice. There's a lot of douches on there. A lot of douches. But on the sidebar, they have sticky guides, like forum posts for guides on summer, fall, winter, and spring wardrobes. And they have for all budgets and stuff. So if you were like, I'm just looking for some nicer clothes in this type of category, there's plenty of saved information there that will help you out and like point you towards some affordable stuff. So that's why I recommend going there. And there's people there that can give you good advice, but again, a lot of pretentious douches. But quick answer to your question, what I would wear in the summer, if I was like going on a date with my wife, would be boat shoes, which are slip-on, Sperry's, if you're familiar with those. Slip-on shoes you can wear without socks. They look not dressy, but they look nice. You can wear them out in the town, And I'd probably wear them with some like nice dark blue or dark khaki shorts, not pleated, not baggy, ending just above the knee, and then a lightweight cotton button-down shirt, sleeves rolled up, and you can't really go wrong there. The most important thing with your clothes is to make sure everything fits correctly. Fit is more important than the brand or how it's made or anything else. Good fit makes anything look a lot better. And then just get your colors semi-decent. If you're not sure how to do that, just make everything different shades of blue. and it works. And
I don't know if I agree with that last part. What do you mean different shades of blue?
If you don't know what you're doing, buy everything in shades of blue. Blue works with most people's skin tones.
But matching different blues.
You're talking about like blue pants, shade of blue shirt, shade of blue.
That's probably dangerous advice because someone could take it very literally and end up looking completely monotone.
That's true. That's true.
What's the guy
I'm gonna say white is pretty safe for a button down.
For a shirt, yeah, for a shirt. If you can get blue bottoms and then white or gray top, you'll be totally fine in pretty much any situation. Yeah, that's true. If you're not used to like matching color, all blue or all of any color could very quickly end up looking like a goth ninja or a Smurf or something else. So no, goth ninja is an actual clothing style, Joel. I know it's stupid.
Wait,
the name
what?
is stupid.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Goth ninja. It's a clothing style. It's all tech wear, like black and monochromatic tech wear, which probably none of this means anything to you.
Stop it, humanity. I love all people. I just hate that clothing brand name. That's the stupidest.
No, it's not a brand name. It's a style.
Oh, it's just, oh, gosh.
So people say, like, what type of style is this? Goth ninja is a style.
Well,
just
is it supposed to be kind of funny, like, because it doesn't make sense, like, I'm a ninja that's goth, like, ninjas always wear black? I'm sorry if I offend anyone who listens to this podcast that wears those clothes. I'm not any better than you, but that makes me allowed to laugh at you the same as you're allowed to laugh at me.
Another tip, if you live in a very humid climate like we do, you can get really awesome sweat wicking undershirts from places like Uniqlo that will help you. Like, I'm a big sweater. I'm not ashamed to say it, okay? When I'm shooting weddings
You're
in the middle
big
of the
everything.
summer, I show up.
You're a humidity ninja.
When I show up, I'm actually, now that I'm talking about it, I'm dreading wedding season already this year because I show up and I'm sweating from like 8 in the morning till like midnight. Just sweat, rivers of sweat. But I found these undershirts from Uniqlo, sweat wicking undershirts that keep, like, my outside is dry. My button down stays completely dry all day long, and inside I'm just miserable and swampy. But I look professional all day long, and that can be really nice if you're going on a date or something.
I would say it depends also what you're doing, like what you want to portray.
It does, yeah. And that's the thing is, I'm not trying to tell you like what your style is or something. So that's what I would wear if I was going on a date in the summer with my wife. You could also wear just like a good fitting pair of dark blue jeans with a decent pair of shoes and a button down is also a good look. Again, fit being very important. Yeah.
I want you to fit me into good. Not fit me. Find me a good pair of jeans. What the hell?
I'm not going to bail you out.
I even prepared to say what I was going to say.
Sit.
I want you to fit me into jeans. What am I doing?
Joel's true purposes come forth.
I'm just picturing him going like, whoop, like fitting me into a pair of jeans. These feel great. Oh gosh.
James is back. Welcome back, James.
Thanks.
I'm just going to let this plane just slide to a halt.
One day, Joel's going to kill James live on the podcast. We're going to watch James die.
All right. So that's, what did Oscar call it? Someone asked, what's Joel's style called? And Oscar said, cargo homeboy.
You guys know Joel too well.
I almost laughed wine up my nose. She'd be like, oh, another way to take wine. Oh, man.
All right. So our next bit of news is our mail is a little more related. Dave, do you have a link you could possibly send me not through Skype?
Nope, it's on Twitch chat right now.
Sweet. Okay. Johnny wrote in to casualshenanigans@gmail.com, just like you can, and said, hey guys, basically I'm going to summarize because he wrote in a couple emails. He's looking for $800 or less to do a complete build for gaming. He wants to do all the gaming. And he needs a monitor, Dave, which I don't see in your price list.
That was going to be my question. Uh-oh.
Yeah, he needs one if you want to readjust that real quick. He needs a monitor, keyboard, mouse, everything. He has nothing. So
Go to your local church and beg for a monitor. I feel like every church has an old monitor somewhere that's just dusty and no one even knows how to use it.
Or some corporation asks for like a nice big honking monitor.
Yeah, there we go.
Dave, if you can find me a monitor for $120, I can on the fly, like I'll just edit the list in my mind and we'll email him an exact list. Okay, so Dave had picked out an i5 4690K quad-core processor. This will be the first thing to go, just to save money, since we got to come up with a monitor here.
Right.
You can go with a much lower processor and still be fine for gaming. Also, Dave, there's no price showing up for that CPU cooler, so that's not factoring into the build.
It's $20.
Yeah, but I'd say it's not including that in your price, so you're already $50 over budget with no mod. I'm sorry.
I built this list on the air, by the way, guys. I was looking off to the side the entire time during the first part of the podcast.
I'm sorry.
And I was like, hey, real quick, can you put together a price list for someone who's going to spend actual money on something?
Everyone's judging you for your skills, Dave, right
now.
I'm judging Jeremiah for his lack of planning.
For that 4690K, we're going to do an immediate swap out of that to
That's
an
huge overkill. If you like, it needs to be the first thing to go. Yeah.
AMD FX 6300, or you could also go with the non-overclockable, cheaper Intel quad cores. You'd be totally fine. We can easily cut $75 or so off that. And Johnny, by the time we email this to you, you'll never know the difference because we're just going to send you the correct one. And then Cooler Master CPU cooler, nothing to talk about there. Basic Asus motherboard, nothing to talk about there. 8 gigs of G-Skill RAM, 1 terabyte Western Digital Caviar Blue hard drive, all good. A Radeon R9 280X graphics card, which is amazingly awesome for the price, but the price is $200. We want to save some money. We're going to drop it down to a 270X, which is probably going to save us about $50. Still a fantastic card. Basic Corsair case, basic Corsair power supply. We can probably chop that down to about a 600 watt, probably, unless you plan on going SLI in the future. But on a budget build, I generally like to assume they're not going to be doing that.
Yeah, if we're hacking stuff off, the power supply can go down to...
It can knock down a little bit. And then just a basic Cooler Master CM Storm Devastator gaming bundle.
Mouse and keyboard. It makes you feel like a real gamer.
Yeah. And then for a monitor, I'm guessing you can get a 22-inch 1080p LED
I got
monitor.
this, Jeremiah. Right here. Slick deals. This deal was live yesterday and might still be live. Zeus. 21.5-inch LED IPS 1080p. $100 free shipping. Boom.
Sweet. That's it. And then, now we didn't include Windows in there, and you said you needed everything.
No,
if
it's bottom of the list. Bottom of the list. I put $30 in the budget for either educational key or one from reddit.com/software swap.
There are legit ones on there. That doesn't mean all of them are legit. Do your homework, but there are legit ones on there. Yes. Also, if you're a student, check out Microsoft DreamSpark. If your school's partnered with them, you could probably get it for free. So you all have some options, Johnny, but we're going to send you this build when it's good and done. We'll make some edits later, and we will send it to you ready to go. And if you have any more questions, you can write in. Same with everyone else. You guys can always write in if you have any questions about your computer stuff. All right. It is now time for What Are You Playing This Week? A part of the podcast where we talk about what we're playing this week.
I love how every section is like, now it's time for.
Joel, what are you
do a
playing?
good job. You do a good job.
Thank you, Joel. What are you playing this week?
I know what he's going to be playing next week.
Well, I'll be playing tonight and tomorrow and the next day, waiting for Bloodborne, Cities and Elder Scrolls, and helping push you through Dark Souls 2.
And Titanfall tonight.
Titanfall tonight after the podcast.
Titanfall.
Dave, you going to stream that?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So if you guys want to watch us play Titanfall with all that free DLC, Dave will be streaming, probably at 10-ish.
Yep.
All right, James, what are you playing?
You know, I pretty much don't deserve to be on a gaming podcast at this point. I haven't played anything this week, really.
That's okay.
Dude.
You have kids and a job. Well, we all have jobs. I guess that's a bad example. You have kids
and school.
Yeah, all right, rub it in. So what are you doing in school this week, James? What'd you learn?
More C++.
Cool. What are you going to school to get a degree, or you're just expanding skills?
I'm just gonna get a certificate. I've already got the bachelor's.
For computer science?
No, this is just web technologies.
Okay.
I mean, I already know how to build websites, but I want to have some of the more programming, developing stuff on
now,
my
James,
resume.
I know you haven't played a lot this week, but if I were to ask you, would you like to go looting in Daisy Stable tomorrow night? What would you say to that? Don't you give me that face. Don't you give me that face.
If you said tonight, be
How
different.
about Saturday then?
We'll see.
I want to go find that truck again and that campsite because the game stopped crashing now, which is exciting.
Can we all congratulate James on actually being able to do homework and stuff? Got to give it to him. He's doing homework, not playing any games.
That's true. I just tempted him with loot.
Yeah.
Campsites
You
full of
bastard.
glistening loot. I'm so sorry, but don't leave me out there by myself.
No, you're a good friend, Dave. You're a good friend, actually. Most people are like, "Oh yeah, you go do your homework." You're like, "No, this is more important."
I'm like, James, I got a truck. We're gonna go find more stuff.
Are you
James, you want to go find food so we can eat food that we wouldn't need if we weren't in game for no other purpose than to find food and eat food? James is like, I get you, brother. I get you.
I'm gonna
Do you think you're
hoard
going
it
to be able
all.
to get ahead enough in your homework to be able to play Bloodborne this coming week? Or do you
Now,
think
James,
is it-
before
I'm
you
just-
answer, think very carefully. Think he's very excited, James. It doesn't matter what you
Hey,
doesn't matter what you do. It matters what you say right now.
Lie to him. Lie to him.
For you, I absolutely will make time.
It's like the scene in The Dark Knight. Joel's got the gun to like Jim Gordon's kid's head. He's like, "Tell me, will you play Bloodborne?" He's like, "Yes, yes, anything."
I've got John. I know John and I are going to be Bloodborning it up all day long.
and me.
But
Bloodborne buddies.
I just hope that you do.
I mean,
or you're
I
able to
said I
find
was-
some time to play just for
I
your
said I
own
was gonna-
happiness.
I
And
gotta-
you. And I'm
And you
excited
know,
for
Joel, I
and
could just
me,
buy
thanks.
a PlayStation 4.
I'm excited that we're all going to be playing. John and I are definitely going to try to get the
Don't
some
you leave
time to
me
like
hanging.
invade you guys as soon as possible.
Don't you?
Dave, what are you playing this week?
Oh, I don't know. I'm playing stuff here and there, just a little bit Battlefield Hardline.
And cities.
Mainly cities, a little bit of Empire, a little bit of Mordor still. Just kind of coasting right now.
Dude, cities is so good that I haven't played Total War in like a week, which is weird. Because I'm also hard. Like, it's a bad time for two similar games to come out. Equally bad. I'm trying to beat Dark Souls 2 by Tuesday when Bloodborne comes out. I think I can do it with my coaches, Mark and Joel, endless sources of inspiration and positivity. I think I will be able to accomplish it. But then I just finished the Witcher book series, so I've got to beat both Witcher games.
What'd you think of the ending? Does it make sense, the first game now?
It makes sense, but man, that last book, like, he was just like, here's every story idea I've ever had. Let's see if we can fit them all in. Like, that book is all over the place. I felt like the middle three books were all kind of slow movers, except for the end of book 2. And then the first book and the last book, I feel like most of the stuff happened in. Like, the majority of things. Like, book 3 is just riding through the wilderness and, like, 2 fights. Like, it's pretty boring. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about the book series. I like the games a lot better. The books, I think,
Really?
will help me understand the games. But
I think the last book was also the worst of the fan translations. It was pretty rough, I thought. Like grammatically, some sentences like required reading. A few
overall,
times
like
and-
the lore and the, which I know you'll be excited about, and like the story of the game and stuff.
Yes.
I'm so in. I'm so in. Like the world of
Hell
The
yeah.
Witcher, I am head over heels in. I was in 2008 when I got The Witcher 1, built my first gaming desktop in like 7 or 8 years. And I actually, it was the only winter break. So it was the first time since I became like a teenager where I had no job and no school to be doing. And I had like weeks, three and a half weeks to just play The Witcher. And I played so much. One day I got up from my bed, sat down at my computer, and got up from it to go eat dinner later. Like, that was my entire day, and it felt glorious. So I'm going to be trying to beat both of those for The Witcher 3 comes out, while waiting to see if any of the Witcher 3 video card promotions are good enough to jump on. I'm really waiting for those 4 gigabyte GTX 960 reviews to hit, because 128 memory bus looks pretty sucky, but it still might be okay. I was actually reading, Dave, what really affects high-resolution gaming when it comes to your video card, and the memory is actually not that important about video memory. It is if you want to run the highest textures and anti-aliasing, but for resolution, the memory makes almost no difference.
Really?
But it's just if you want to scale other stuff up with it that it becomes an issue.
That's my problem. That's why I can't see a difference. Turn those dials.
Yep. So I'm playing that, trying to beat Dark Souls 2, playing Cities, playing Total War. That's about it.
I just had
I get what you're. Go ahead, Joel.
You go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Jeremiah.
beard.
I get what you're saying about the RTS games, because if I were to count up the series that I'm currently either running or just playing on my own, I'm playing City Skylines, Napoleon Total War, Empire Total War, Rome Total War, and Attila Total War. That's a lot of strategy games that require hours and hours of your time.
Dude,
they're all so good.
I tried to play Empire. It will not. I can't get it to go full screen on my monitor. It will.
I'll help you out.
I think it just doesn't work.
I'm running it at 1440p.
I'm not running it at 1440p, peasant. I can run it. I can run it at 1440p.
What you got? What you got, Jeremiah?
4K.
Oh, really? Did you get a 4K monitor?
Hey, you got to see it this past weekend. Back me up. Does that thing look pretty good?
Banned from Twitch in 3, 2. No, it does look amazing. It is a noticeable difference. I think that you talk down on 1440p too much because it's not a mind.
But I never have any other circumstance where you'd be like, Dave, my computer's so superior, because you're like sitting over here with your 12 threads and your 980, soon to be SLI 980s. I'm 100% positive.
I'm puckered.
And this is the only place where I can say this is emphatically, objectively better. Suck it.
I just had a thought when Dave was talking about.
Oh, that's it. Had to happen eventually. What's up?
Hardy har har.
Thanks, Dad.
Dave, if a game had a graphic setting and it goes from low to like ultra high, but there is literally no difference,
we all know,
or at least that you couldn't tell. You couldn't tell.
Joel.
Would you have to keep it at ultra?
Joel.
Like, I'm saying there's actually physically no difference. All it is just it's a placebo setting.
Listen to me, Joel. First of all, if I have to hook a tool and pull the raw DirectX data out of the game, I'll find the difference. I will look it down. I will pixel peep until my eyes bleed. I will find the difference. And second of all, go big or go home. I want it all. I want it all, Joel.
I'd be curious if I made a game and the graphics set is like ultra, but it had literally it had low, medium, high, ultra, and only difference is low and then medium, and the rest is exactly the same.
Joel, we gotta do this.
If you would see into something that's not there.
What if we made an actual 3D game and called it graphic sliders, where it's just like different scenes you have to try to figure out?
Joel and I came up with that idea.
We have a Google Doc with ideas already.
It was called PC Master Race. All it is
PC Master Race, the game.
And it's like a main menu with what? It's like some little card game or something being played or tic-tac-toe. Some basic game, it's just a menu. But you have these incredibly advanced graphics options that just adjust the graphics of this potted plant sitting in the corner.
So that made me press enter on the master keyboard to begin. Game menu, play game, graphic settings, keyboard freedoms. The graphic settings are subsurface, extra polygon, physics scattering, gay band rays, texture detail, ultra, mega ultra, NASA ultra, highest ultra beyond anything ever, 32x textures, anti-aliasing, 64 time anti-aliasing, always on. You can't turn it off. Real-time realistic shadows, environment, small world, galaxy, full real-time universe simulation. Frame limit 60 FPS, 120 and 240 only. Post FXXX. Don't need any. Already on.
And that's all for the potted plant in the corner.
Yeah. I want to make that game.
It's now time for 90 Seconds with Joel. I'm not going to make any sexual jokes about your malfunctioning body parts this week because I've done that for a couple weeks in a row. It's just now time for Joel to talk about anything he wants to talk about.
That's how long he has left to live at this point.
Oh my.
So this story I needed help with Dave because Dave was just begun to tell me a little bit of the story the other day, and I need to hear it for the full story. He was telling me that you guys went to some sushi place over the weekend. You guys hung out together.
So here's a setup. A bunch of us were in town to visit Jeremiah and
friends
his wife.
came to see me.
Finally, except for Joel, who still is determined he's never going to visit Jeremiah ever. And
my
John
real friends came to see me. Johnson. Oh, sorry. Anyway, James has been here by now. Joel. James lives in a different state.
Oh, dang it.
So Joel and Debbie came along too, and they're big fans of sushi. I'm not a big sushi fan. I've tried it once or twice. I like my seafood fried, preferably. That's my preference. But we found this place. It was a genuine Japanese sushi bar and seafood place, and had fresh seafood and fresh sushi. And I have to say, even as not being a sushi fan, when they brought John, who really appreciates food, I think we could all agree, John does appreciate his food. When they brought out this wooden like carving tray with these rows of carefully crafted sushi arrayed upon it, the noises that John started to make, I actually got a little bit uncomfortable. I was sitting next to John, and as he dove into the sushi, I'm like, should I like get up and just like give him a minute here? I don't know if that's the part of the story that no, he was ahead of the curve.
Oh,
was that the story you're looking for, Joel?
yes, his sensual experience with food.
All I can say is the noises that he made were definitely inappropriate for a family restaurant as he consumed that sushi.
He's already told me, like, truthfully, that watching me eat something that he can't eat, like a donut or something, is like he wants to watch me eat the food. He's like living vicariously through my mouth. He's like, yes, eat that donut.
There were so many different ways that could have been said. And you knew it. You knew it. You knew you could have said that differently.
Joel's foodography. I'm watching foodography.
Anyways, I thought that was just the funniest thing. I could just, just sitting by the table. It's just like everyone's just like really awkward sitting. He's like, oh yeah.
And the great part is too, Joel, with John, it's not like we all were really hungry by the time our food got there, right? And it was excellent. Really, really good. So we're all getting into the food. Sure, it's delicious. But for John, the noises didn't stop. From the first side of the tray to the end. It just kept going. Like each bite, you look over, like his eyes are like rolled.
Was that an eagle?
It's not an eagle. James, everything good? Welcome to being a dad with James the Gray. The beard's gray for a reason.
I would look over Joel and he'd be like mid-chew, and he's not chewing normally. He's like some kind of giant animal, like just carefully chewing, and his eyes are just rolled back in his head the whole time.
That probably is gonna scare her.
Hi, Eden. You don't remember me. You can't hear me either. I'm just smiling.
She can't hear you.
Yeah, she can't.
Like, oh, Godzilla.
Okay, crabby. Debbie, just in chat, you should just if John wants, next time we come to visit, I will bring an entire pizza and eat in front of him. If he would enjoy that, I can come do that. With that, it's time to end the podcast. So thank you everyone for coming out. And wow, Twitch chat. Hey mods, can you get on that? Something weird's happening.
Goodbye.
Dave, are you modded?
I am, but Debbie needs to be modded so she can help out.
What do I need to type?
I want that ability too. I'm not gonna ban Debbie. Just so you know. I would ban all the bad people.
Vamp.
I can vamp a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
Vamping.
And stop.
Can I just tell you how excited I am for Bloodborne, guys? I felt like Cartman this week, and I just want to find just freeze myself in a pile of snow just so I can pass the time. If it wasn't for helping Jeremiah through Dark Souls 2, I would have frozen myself already. I might as well promote the Dark Souls or the Bloodborne podcast, hopefully coming up soon. Don't forget, I think April 2nd, we're going to be talking with the Dark Souls 2 guys. It's going to be really awesome. We're going to have about 5 or 6 days worth of playing Bloodborne, and we're going to have a lot of fun talk with them about it. So stay tuned for that.
Sweet.
Also, don't forget to email us stuff. If you got some questions, you guys want to have Dave, Jeremiah, the masters of PC, give you guys those specs, those delicious, sexy, technical specs. Email them your questions. If you want, just life advice, email me. I was just making sure you guys were laughing so much. I was making sure you guys were listening, so yeah. But dude, what is going on?
I think we need to wrap up right now.
Just keep going.
Okay.
Thank you everyone for coming out. As always, you can watch us here on Twitch every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also subscribe JERMgaming, Evil Viking 13 on YouTube, and Casual Shenanigans Gaming Podcast in iTunes. thank you everyone for coming out, writing the show, casualshenanigans@gmail.com, at casualshenanigans on Twitter. And stay tuned. We have lots of cool potato masher things coming up and other awesome stuff planned. So thank you, everybody. And as always, stay casual.
See you guys.